Talk about blatant disrespect, you know what I'm saying? Like, make eye contact. Maybe, I guess, deal with frustration. Look at Donald Trump. Look at Donald Trump. The one who seems to not be able to stay off his phone and deal with his frustrations over Twitter? Really? So one thing that hopefully I don't fall into the same cycle, the same trap that a lot of our older gentlemen and ladies, our older generation seems to keep falling into. And I'm pretty sure they said the same thing about their previous generation is, I don't want to get stuck into a position to where I can't grow along with the times. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you haven't noticed, this is not your grandparents' America anymore. Things have changed. Society has changed. And, with the help of technology, you have to go along with the times, or just be that old person who still, has a rotary phone in their kitchen. And that's their only point of contact. Don't be that guy. And I hope when I'm older, in my 50s, 60s, and 70s, I'm not that guy. You can still have your moral and your fundamental beliefs. You can still have that. But don't be so blind to how society is changing. And sometimes it's for the better. And I'm talking about Jordan Peterson. Once again, I'm still talking about the smartest, dumbest person I've ever seen, okay? He's on Fox News talking to Kilmeade. I think that's his name. And he seems so oblivious. I don't know what degrees he has. I don't know what schools he's attended and what he teaches. But if you are having this hard of a time to understand what society is going through and how they're trying to make America better, why do you have these degrees then? Why are you why are you trying to start a school if you don't understand what this generation is trying to fight through? Jordan, you can't be that old. I know you got a lot of grades, but you're not that old. You're not that far removed from reality. Why are you so confused? So let's go ahead, watch this interview with Dr. Jordan Peterson talking to Fox News, out of all people.
I recently sat down with world-renowned psychologist and author Dr. Jordan Peterson. We talked about a number of things, including education versus indoctrination and his mission to fight the far-left woke agenda in schools, maybe your school, as well as why Gen Zs can't cut it in the workforce. Okay. Not all of you, but some of you, and how we can help them. You got a new study showing new 2023 hires are unprepared for work, they're unprepared for life. Dr. Peterson's take on all of this, especially for parents, is fascinating. Watch.
Hold on. Let's look at his list. Gen Z soft skill struggles, making change at register. I honestly don't know if that's true. I've been to a lot of grocery stores where you normally see a lot of young people at the register. And I mean, usually the register tells you how much change to give. I mean, once again, this is not in the not 1900s, like the 1600s where there's like no cash registers. Like, it usually tells you right there. Work with others. I mean, hasn't that always been a problem? Like has your grandfather always been the best person to work around? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Especially if he grew up on the other side of town. Like, he was probably not the most polite person. You know what I'm saying? Like, talk about blatant disrespect. You know what I'm saying? Like, make eye contact. Maybe, I guess, deal with frustration. Look at Donald Trump. Look at Donald Trump. The one who seems to not be able to stay off his phone and deal with his frustrations over Twitter? Really? Take initiative. I mean, I don't know. That might be one thing that you might have to be born with and kind of like be taught as a young age. So I can't really say that's the entire Gen Z soft skill struggle, because I know a lot of grown folks who don't even want to take the initiative. And, you know, he was like an older gentleman, like in his 60s. He did not take the initiative. So, like, I guess, whatever.
Peterson's take on all of this, especially for parents, is fascinating. Watch. When this study popped up, we thought, you got to weigh in on this. They say that Gen Zers come in, they're sincere, but if they have no necessary instinct on what to do next, find them a lot sitting idly by waiting for instructions on what to do next. Does that make sense to you? Something about this generation that would have trouble being self-motivated.
And that's one thing that I noticed throughout this interview. Like, they're not really being detailed in what they're trying to say is the problem with Gen Z taking the next step. Like, what do you mean? What's the next step that you're referring to? Because, I mean, there's millions of Gen Zs. Like, they're not all going to take the same. Some are late bloomers. Some already know what they want to do. Some are very successful at. So it's like, what do you mean, like, the next step? Like, can you be a little bit more specific? I mean, if we're going to have an intellectual conversation, can you be a little bit more detailed in what you're trying to ask? But no, let's just be generalizing everything. And, you know, because the viewers of Fox News is probably like 50 and above. So this conversation is not for young folks. This conversation for the old folks. They don't care about the details. They just want to hear that the younger generation are just lazy. And that's it. So, I mean, don't expect to learn anything from this if you're actually Gen Z.
Well, I think that if you set up an education system that's designed to do nothing but demoralize young people and to convince them that their ambition is dangerous and, well, even world-threatening for that matter, a manifestation of patriarchal oppression on the social front, and then a danger to the survival of the planet on the natural front, then, and you don't do anything to foster that ambition and to channel it into a manner that might be productive and to tell young people why their ambition might be useful, then you're going to get exactly that. So you hit what you aim at if you try hard enough, and the education system has been trying to demoralize people for 60 years. One of the things that really stuns me, you know, I haven't been able to figure this out yet. I've been trying to talk to Republican governors about this. I cannot understand why conservatives have been daft enough to allow the faculties of education to retain their hammerlock on teacher certification for the last 60 years. It's insane.
You mean the criteria to get the certification and what's
exactly.
in it?
All right. Okay. Whoa. Slow down here, Mr. Dr. Jordan Lee Peterson. Okay. Check this out. He is saying the failures of education, the teachers are demoralizing this younger generation. And that seems to be like his root cause of this. Like, you know, if I'm catching on, that seems to be his root cause in explaining why Gen Z is unprepared, as the headline says, unprepared. Okay. The beautiful thing is, with, you know, the start of my generation, we have this thing called the entire net. Okay. The internet of information. And when you have information, you're able to make a better decision, have a better perspective, be a little bit more educated in the world that you're going to step into. Okay. I think that's a good thing, right? Because now that I'm in my 30s and I kind of have a better understanding, because when I was younger, I didn't really understand the world that I was stepping into, and because I didn't really take advantage of the entire net. You know what I'm saying? But I believe a lot of Gen Z is starting to kind of realize, like, wait, my parents live check to check and they work hard. They were like 50, 60 hours a week, sometimes 2-3 jobs, and they barely making it. My parents are doing that. Oh, and kind of find out my parents work check to check, barely making it, working 50, 60 hours a week, slaving. Oh, in my great-great-grandparents. Wait, I don't want to fall into the same cycle that my family has been kind of teaching their kids to live into. So maybe they're like, hey, this whole capitalism thing probably isn't working. Oh, we're destroying the planet because of X, Y, and Z. I mean, I'm not a scientist and I will never pretend to be, but I'm going to listen to the experts, and the experts saying we need to slow the hell down. But no, Jordan Peterson, he wants to blame it on the teachers. The teachers are the one that's demoralizing. I think people have enough common sense and enough awareness to see the system that we are forced to participate in is demoralizing itself. It is not fun knowing that you're going to work for an employer that can fire you on a whim for little to no reason. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and it's like, well, I have to work this over strenuous job that's not paying enough, that's barely not even paying a livable wage, and if I get fired, I have to work for another company that's probably paying even less for more work. So it's like that alone. We're not going to talk about healthcare or education or other opportunities. Just the jobs alone is demoralizing. So I give young people a little bit more credit than just, oh, they're just unprepared to work. Now, I think they're a little smarter than that. But let's continue.
Have to be trained in a faculty of education to become a teacher. Why? They're the most woke element of the entire rotten university carcass, and they have the hammerlock on 50% of the state budgets. You know, the conservatives are always complaining about the culture war. It's like, well, you handed all the young people to the faculties of education, right? They're state budgets. You know, the conservatives are always complaining about the culture war. It's like, well, you handed all the young people to the faculties of education, right?
No. Who is hung up on the culture wars? I mean, Tim Pool has a segment called Culture Wars or something like that. Republicans and conservatives are always making the conversation around cultural wars. I wish we could just have a conversation about policies. That would be my dream right there. If we could just have a conversation based on policies and laws and structure, oh my, I would die happy. But no, we got to talk about trans people who make less than 1% of Americans. We got to talk about just race relations that has already been documented and proven. We have to have these conversations about celebrities and what they feel like, because they making millions of dollars, but we need to input their opinions about how they're just paying so much taxes. Oh my God, like, there's real people having real struggles, and you want to talk about what? No, leave that alone. Blame the Republicans for always inserting cultural divisions, because they know they will lose on a policy front 9 times out of 10. They don't offer any policies besides taxes cut for the rich. That seems to be their only policy that they have to offer. So, Mr. Peterson, do you understand what show you're on? Do you understand the party that I don't know if he's a Republican, but I'm pretty sure he will vote Republican 9 times out of 10. Does he understand who his audience is? The ones who are hung up on this cultural conversation? Probably not.
Right? Their research is terrible. It's low rate. Their students are generally very incompetent, comparatively speaking, on the academic front. It's foolish, and this is the outcome. It's not surprising.
And it's a way to work on the foundation. And when you have an RNC chair or a DNC chair, if you have an agenda, that's what to work on. Don't get Mr. and Mrs. Candidate elected. Start focusing on the direction you want the country in, and find out how to give people an education that will allow them to at the very least think but not what to think.
Well, the left-wingers in the 1960s were far-seeing enough, the more radical.
Now, this is my third Jordan Peterson's video that I cover, and he seems to be obsessed with the 1960s. Okay, and I mean, I'm not a historian, you know, I haven't studied every event that happened in American history, but you know, I read some things, and it seems to be one particular event I think he's trying to hint to. Like, he doesn't just like come out and say it, like, you know, so I don't want to just put words in his mouth, but it really feels like he's trying to hint at one major event that happened in the 1960s. Let me know in the comments if you know what event he might be talking about, but it seems like he's really hung up on whatever happened in the 1960s.
Radical types to envision a decades-long march through the institutions, right? And one of their goals was the capture of educational institutions, and that's happened completely, and that's been absolutely abetted by conservatives who tend to get lost in the details. And well, then you think now you have young people who are demoralized and directionless. Well, they're never taught anything about how to acquire a direction. You know, we did a study, I used this program I developed called Future Authoring. We did a study where we had 3 studies, actually, where we had...
You know what? One thing that I'm pretty sure 9 times out of 10 that if you're watching, your parents had taught you this. My parents have taught me this, and I'm pretty sure my grandparents' parents has taught them this. Go to school, get good grades, graduate, maybe go to college, get a job, work your job, and work your job, and work 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 and die. Like, that's what was taught to me. I'm pretty sure that was taught to you. So I don't understand. Like, I'm pretty sure Gen Z has been told the same thing by my generation: get a job and work. Now, if they don't like that, I don't blame them. Who wants to spend the one life? You only get one life, baby. This is YOLO. You only live one life, okay? If you don't have financial freedom and real opportunities, because we know when you have more money, you have more opportunities. It is depressing to think, man, I'm going to be working these middle paying jobs for the rest of my life. Like, I'm going to have just enough to right there, and that's it. That's my entire life. I don't want that. And I don't want other people to fall into that same trap. Do what you got to do to liberate yourself and other people, because you only get one life. Don't waste it making these corporations, these greedy greedy capitalist companies, billions of dollars. That's not going to be my life legacy, is making X job billions of dollars. And we all know that same company don't give a F about you. I don't want that to be my legacy. I'm trying to do a little bit more than that. I'm not going to be the dad, the grandpa who just worked and died. I got other ideas. Okay, I have other hobbies. I want to get out there. I want to do something other than make a company millions of dollars, and then that's it. And then once I die, they replace me with the next sucker who is just giving their whole entire life into a company. Don't think so. We need to change that.
University students sit down essentially for 90 minutes. Right. 90 minutes, this was it. And write out a goal, a series of goals for their life, right? Who could they be in 5 years across 7 important dimensions of their life? And where might they be that would be terrible if they didn't get their act together? We dropped their dropout rate 50% and raised their grade point average by 35%, 3 separate studies. So that's all you have to do if you want to motivate young people, is to teach them a bit of visionary discipline and encourage it. And we do the opposite of that. Plus, we terrify them. Trigger warnings. We tell them that everything's dangerous.
You talked about accommodations.
Trigger warnings? I can't even tell you the last time I even seen a trigger warning. And if I did, who really pays attention? Now, of course, if you have some sort of disorder, like, with flashing lights and, that might cause some, then, okay, I can see you trying to be aware of these triggers. But is the trigger warnings really holding Gen Z back? It really? Oh, Jesus Christ. If you really believe a trigger warning on a video or whatnot is really a root cause of an entire generation failing, then guess what? At the end of this video, I have 2 bridges in my trunk. I will drive to where you at and I will sell you $1 million a piece. Okay. Make sure you have the money sent to my Cash App. Okay. Then I will come to your crib. Send the money first and then I'll come see you. If you are that gullible, if you're that willing to just receive any kind of information and take it as gospel truth, please send me $1 million. I would appreciate that. Okay. Because maybe I'm in the wrong market. If there's that gullible, enough gullible people to believe trigger warnings is the issue over low-paying jobs, education not being funded properly, healthcare and jobs just taking advantage of people. Oh no, it's the trigger warnings. That's the problem, right? Okay, got you.
So someone has ADD, wow. They're told, dyslexia or other things. Yeah. In the public school now, there's a lot of accommodations. I'm going to give you more time for your test. Yeah. Or things to that nature. I have trouble tracking across the line. You think accommodations in many cases don't show progress, can be limiting. Why?
Well, the problem with the accommodation hypothesis is something like, the advantage is, well, you want to do what you can to help people who might have obstacles that could be overcome to learn. That's not unreasonable. But the problem with the accommodation hypothesis is, well, what happens when you have an actual problem to solve? You're not going to be accommodated. You're not going to be accommodated in a workforce that requires genuine competition. Because if you're accommodated in a workforce that requires genuine competition, you're just going to be taken out. There's no time for that. Right. You might say, well, there should always be time. It's like, well, not if there are important things at stake. Yeah. Well, that's foolish, right? Because when you're making important decisions, you're always balancing one catastrophe against another. You don't have the option that everything's going to turn out. And so the problem with accommodation, well, first of all, it's going to be gamed, and it's being gamed like mad. And second, it gives the person who's being accommodated to the wrong picture of the world to which they're going to adapt. You think about this with parenthood. How should you treat your kids? Well, as a mother and father, you should be a proxy for the world. Maybe a slightly more merciful proxy. But basically, the message you send your kids about their behavior is the same message that the world is going to send them. It should be. Because otherwise, you're not preparing them for the world. So maybe your kid's annoying as hell to you and your wife, and you don't do anything about it because you think, well, we're all mercy. It's like, that's just fine until your kid has to make a friend or, deal with an adult that's not you, in which case they're going to get slaughtered. There's nothing merciful about that. And if you accommodate people beyond what the environment itself would allow, you misinform them about the world they're going to inhabit. And plus, it can be gamed, and it's being gamed constantly.
So, okay, so once again, like with these large general like statements without kind of being a little bit more specific, a little bit more detailed, it's really, at least to me, it's hard to really understand like what exactly is accommodating. What has he noticed that a lot of parents are accommodating their kids with? Like, give me some examples, because this conversation can go in 1,000,001 ways. You know what I'm saying? Not every parenting is the same. So not every parent is accommodating their kids. And some kids actually need accommodating. Some are slower than others. Some are actually special needs. So it's like this conversation, I hate these general, just, undetailed, broad brushing conversations, because it's like, okay, like, sure. Okay. But I mean, one thing I did notice, and we could probably end on this note, because at the end of this segment, he's just going to talk about a school that he's just starting up. And it's like, There's the grift right there. That is the grift right there. You're starting a school, so now you want to enter into Fox's arena to let people know that you're starting a school and you're just, give me your money for me to teach your kids really nothing. At the end of the day, people are going to be aware of the world that they live in. It's really kind of inevitable, a canon event, as some may call it. People are going to be aware of the systematic depression that it seems to have generation after generation after generation caught up in. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure you guys been told the same thing I've been told. Go to school, graduate, get a job, work, and die. And as sad as it may seem, people don't want to do that. And I understand. Who wants to just live their one life just to work, barely make it, because we know these companies aren't paying a livable wage, and just die. So I mean, like, if Jordan Peterson doesn't understand how, like, basic human just reaction, we got all this amazing technology, but yet people are working harder for less while things are increasing in price. But we got all this amazing technology that it doesn't make sense. The technology should be increasing and productivity should be easier. And I mean, we got a lot of money. Like, let's not even talk about America doesn't have. Do you understand how much subsidies these millionaires and billionaires get? But no, we want to talk about welfare, people on welfare and food stamps. Let's pick on the people who actually need to eat, but not the billionaires who want more billions from the government to make more billions. That's, oh man, we got our priorities backwards here. And this is why Gen Z is unhappy. And they're supposed to, because that's how civilization's been working since history. I mean, pick up a history book. It's simple on how this is going to play out. And it's almost inevitable. But once again, if you think I am wrong and you think Jordan Peterson is the most intellectual individual that you have ever imputed into your existence, then please let me know in the comments. And we gonna have that conversation.